The Ragged Trousered Philanthropists by Robert Tressell. Read by Tony Robinson and the voice of Barrington by Stephen Twigg MP. The house was named The Cave. It was a large old-fashioned three-storied building standing in about an acre of ground and situated about a mile outside the town of Mugsborough. It stood back nearly 200 yards from the main road and was reached by means of a by-road or lane. This house had been unoccupied for many years, and it was now being altered and renovated for its new owner by the firm of Rushton & Co., builders and decorators. At 12 o'clock, Bob Crass, the painter's foreman, blew a blast upon a whistle, and all hands assembled in the kitchen, where Bert the apprentice had already prepared the tea, which was ready in the large galvanised iron pail that he had placed in the middle of the floor. By the side of the pail were a number of old jam jars, mugs, dilapidated teacups, and one or two empty condensed milk tins. As each man came in, he filled his receptacle with tea from the steaming pail before sitting down. Most of them brought their food in little wicker baskets, which they held on their laps or placed on the floor beside them. "I don't think much of this bloody tea," suddenly remarked Sawkins, one of the labourers. "Well, it ought to be all right," retorted Bert. "It's been boiling ever since 11:30. Bert White was a frail-looking, weedy, pale-faced boy, 15 years of age and about 4 feet 9 inches in height. He was a pitiable spectacle of neglect and wretchedness as he sat there on an upturned pail, eating his bread and cheese with fingers that, like his clothing, were grimed with paint and dirt. "Well then, you can't have put enough tea in, or else you've been using up what was left yesterday," continued Sawkins. "Why the bloody hell don't you leave the boy alone?" said Harlow, another painter. "If you don't like the tea, you needn't drink it. For my part, I'm sick of listening to you about it every damn day." "It's all very well for you to say I needn't drink it," answered Sawkins, "but I've paid my share and I've got a right to express an opinion." Sawkins was not popular with any of the others. His wages, 5p an hour, were 2p an hour less than the standard rate, and the result was that in slack times often a better workman was stood off when Sawkins was kept on. Moreover, he was generally regarded as a sneak who carried tales to the foreman and the bloke. The unpleasant silence which now ensued was at length broken by one of the men who told a dirty story, and in the laughter and applause that followed, the incident of the tea was forgotten. It was Friday, and no one had much money, so at the suggestion of Bundy, a syndicate was formed, each member contributing 3p for the purpose of backing a dead certainty given by the renowned Captain Kiddum of the Obscurer. One of those who didn't join the syndicate was Frank Owen, who was, as usual, absorbed in a newspaper. He was generally regarded as a bit of a crank, for it was felt that there must be something wrong about a man who took no interest in racing or football and was always talking a lot of rot about religion and politics. If it hadn't been for the fact that he was generally admitted to be an exceptionally good workman, they would have had little hesitation about thinking that he was mad. This man was about 32 years of age and of medium height, but so slightly built that he appeared taller. When all the members of the syndicate had handed over their contributions, Bundy went out to arrange matters with the bookie, and when he'd gone, Easton annexed the copy of the Obscurer that Bundy had thrown away, and proceeded to laboriously work through some carefully cooked statistics relating to free trade and protection. Ned Dawson, a poor devil who was paid 4p an hour for acting as mate or labourer to Bundy or the bricklayers, or anyone else who wanted him, lay down on the dirty floor in a corner of the room, and with his coat rolled up as a pillow, went to sleep. Another who took no part in the syndicate was Barrington, a labourer who, having finished his dinner, placed the cup he brought for his tea back into his dinner basket, took out an old briar pipe, which he slowly filled, and proceeded to